Welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Positive Tips with Rachelle. Folks, we're on Fitness Friday. It is always the best day of the week. Gotta love it. Folks, continuing this sub-series here on adversity, overcoming adversity. This is actually going to be a challenging episode, and want to start off with a disclaimer. I am going to be talking about murder. I'm going to be talking about death in this particular episode as it relates to news and issues that have occurred recently within the fitness industry. But I want to kick this episode off, but did want to start off with a disclaimer. So if anybody, if you feel the need, certainly click off. We'll catch you next week. I totally understand, but want to kick this episode off. And this is not a promotion. Promotion is not my goal here on Fitness Friday Positive Tips, but I have to share something. I want to kick this episode off with something. Actually, it's a blast from the past. If you remember, I did an episode back in 2020 when I first found out about this, and let me just go ahead and explain. So we think about adversity, we think about the challenges regarding adversity, and the fact that there's no life on this planet that is not touched by some form of adversity, all right? There's no such thing as a perpetual winner in life, all right? Into every life, some rain must fall, as is often stated. So when I think back to when I've shared a little bit on Fitness Friday Positives, but certainly when I used to do the regular non-Fitness Friday Positives, and if I'm speaking or something on a more personal level, this is something when I'm talking about adversity, and I talked about just the time that I lived in Miami, just how tough that was, and I've shared before on Fitness Friday how I was broker than broke, and how rough it was. And in 2020, so we're thinking about the throes of the pandemic had pretty much just started. And so in a church here in Novi, not my church, but a church in Novi, I put out a call for volunteers for the church. And I typically will do that regardless of what church it is. If it's fairly close to me, not respective of, that's one thing if you know about me personally is that I'm very open. And so just like you've noticed, I've been in a whole lot of gyms over the years. I've been in a whole lot of churches over the years. And so if there's an opportunity to serve or give back, I don't kind of limit myself to say, well, I will only do something in my own church. But anyway, and what an awesome blessing that turned out to be. So March of 2020, that call was placed for volunteers the first weekend in March, went and helped out, yada, yada, yada. Week after, one of the coordinators says, hey, Rachelle, would you like some muffins? And of course, yes, of course, I love muffins, whatever, this and that. And what I didn't know, and remember, it's during the pandemic, so, okay, open up the trunk, put them in the trunk, whatever. So when I got home, and I had no clue what type of muffins it was, and it turned out to be almond poppy seed muffins. And I highlighted, the first batch I received back in 2020, and I talked about how when I opened my trunk and I saw those muffins, I literally freaked out. I was so happy. And if you recall that I've shared before on a Fitness Friday, but this used to hang in my car when I lived in Miami. I hate to be poor, but if there was one thing, if there's a few things that are emblematic of my time spent in Miami, and one of them is the Otis. They don't make them anymore, but Otis Spunkmeyer almond poppy seed muffins. I used to love those, and they stopped selling them long years ago. So they're impossible to find. So anyway, almond poppy seed muffins are just not easy to find, period. I think they're pretty much an acquired taste. And so as I learned, Costco, that's how I learned in 2020. That person, they had gotten those muffins from Costco. And I was thinking, I've been a member of Sam's for years. I'm currently a member of Sam's for 16 years. And so I joined Costco, quick little sub-story within that story, joined Costco. So I'm like, I'll be able to get these whenever I want. So I had 2 memberships, Sam's Club and Costco. And then promptly canceled that membership 3 months later when they stopped selling the almond poppy seed muffins. And so, the demand wasn't there. I totally understood. But it looks like they're selling them again because someone gave them to me last week. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I haven't had these muffins in 2 years. And so, when I reflect back on those adverse years in Miami, and again, I was working towards a goal, and it was hard and it required sacrifice. And I used to think about how going to Publix supermarket and buying, and that's when they sold them the Otis Spunkmeyer muffins, a pack of 3 Otis Spunkmeyer muffins. And that was just such a delicacy for me. And so you have to understand, so years later, so here I am, I realize I learned now Costco is selling them again. So maybe rejoining Costco. But just, again, when we go through adversity, we always have to think about, yes, it's hard, yes, it's tough, yes, sometimes it can seem like it's not fair, but look for the small things, look for the blessings, look for something the lessons learned, all right? Because I look back, there's nothing I would do differently. I absolutely would go through the hard times. I absolutely would go through the sacrifice. I would absolutely be broker than broke again because it was certainly all worth it. And so sometimes you will never know. It could be years later down the road where something will remind you of the hard times. But also, it was the hard times, but also I just remember what a delicacy these were. Like, yes, I've got an extra $5. I can go to Costco and I can get some Otis Spunkmeyer muffins. Called Poppy Seed muffins. And so, but that's that. So I wanted to kick this episode off with that. So they are selling them again. So here I am. Took me about 2.5 years later. Here we are. Here I am with another batch of muffins again. But was so excited. Was so excited to see these. So let's move on here with the meat of today's episode, folks. So adversity and fitness, particularly in the bricks and mortar space. And this is going to be similar to an episode I did several weeks ago where you were the only one. Now I can bring these stories and these examples to your attention, but that's pretty much, you have the answers. You know where you stand. You know if you have a plan. But the gist and the truth of what I want to communicate here is there's a lot of things that happen in fitness facilities. I mean, across this country, certainly around the world, but certainly across this country. Tough things, assaults and murders and all types of things. And so the important thing is just to ask yourself, do I have a plan? We have a plan. Again, that's one thing I have to point out, and I try to do this each and every time when it's relevant, is I don't traffic in fear, I don't traffic in anxiety and in conspiracy theories and all of that. What the goal of this is just to say, hey, to raise the level of awareness and say, hey, some facilities in this country have faced some really tough circumstances. Hey, who's to say something like that couldn't happen in our facility or our facilities? Do we have a plan? All right, because again, having a plan, even a rough plan, will certainly, you can never be totally prepared for the literally thousands of different scenarios that could occur. Want to just make you aware of some things that happen so it can be just on your radar, just to know that some adverse things happen in facilities each and every day. I mean, yes, these are some extreme examples, but you've got to have some type of plan, communications plan, action plan, public relations plan or strategy. How will you handle these situations? Customer service strategy. How are you going to handle this when certain things happen? And so we're going to kick off these examples here. We're going to kick off with an example from Miami. So this was Channel 10. So the Channel 10 News, it was on their website. So it is, or was published by Rosh Lowe. And the publication date is July 19, 2022. And the title of this article is, Police Seek North Miami Gym Employee Who Smashed Patron's Skull with Metal Bar. All right, so it goes on to state, North Miami police are looking for a gym employee accused of smashing a patron's skull with a metal bar, leaving him with several injuries. The incident happened on June 28th at the LA Fitness off Northeast 123rd Street in North Miami. According to police, a man was working out when there was some sort of verbal altercation between him and an employee. The altercation turned physical when the suspect started using a metal bar to smash the victim's head. Police described the suspect as an LA Fitness employee. Police said the injuries as severe, and in their report said, quote, several gym members used towels to cover his injury, end quote. Gym goers were shocked at the news. Something like that can happen, patron Sandra Crowd said. That's something that can happen. You don't expect that in a gym. No, not in a gym, not anywhere. Police said medics took the victim to Aventura Hospital. The general manager of LA Fitness location did not respond to Local 10 News requests for comment. Going to move on to the next example. Now, this next example was on the national news and everything, and it happened earlier this summer. You may have already heard about it. And so here we go. Police, and this is by CNN, this is on CNN.com, by Joe Sutton on Wednesday, June 15, 2022. The title of this article is, Police in Texas Kill a Man Who Fired His Weapon Inside a Gym Hosting a Children's Summer Camp. Goes on to state, a man who fired his weapon into a room where children were attending a summer camp just outside Dallas was shot and killed by police on Monday, according to authorities. Police arrived at the Duncanville Fieldhouse, a large indoor facility, approximately 2 minutes after receiving an emergency call, a police news release said. Officers quickly located and exchanged gunfire with a suspect armed with a handgun. The suspect was wounded during the exchange, the department said. The man was transported to a nearby hospital where he was pronounced dead, police said, and no children, staff, or officers were harmed in the incident. The armed man had entered through the main lobby doors with a handgun, and at least one round was then fired, Duncanville Assistant Chief of Police Matthew Stogner said at a police conference Monday. Quote, it appears that the staff member and he exchanged, whether it's discussions or talk, but that was the initial gunfire that alerted others in the building, Stogner said. Counselors immediately began moving children to a safe area and locking doors, he said. The suspect went to a classroom, was unable to get inside, and did fire one round into the classroom where there were children inside, Stogner said. The suspect then moved to the gymnasium where other kids were located, police said, but no shots were fired. Officers arrived at the scene and saw the suspect in the gymnasium, and shots were exchanged after confronting him, police said. Camp and Fieldhouse staff followed lockdown procedures. Due to the clear-headed actions of staff and the quick response time of law enforcement, there were no additional injuries, the police said. Duncanville police officers followed their training, and the city commends them for their actions today. The summer camp is for ages 4-year-olds to 14-year-olds and was beginning its second week with an average attendance of more than 250 campers and staff, police said. The Texas Department of Public Safety has been asked to take over the investigation, Duncanville police said. A motive for the shooting has yet to be established. Duncanville is located approximately 10 miles south of downtown Dallas. Also at the bottom, CNN's Rebecca Rice contributed to this report. All right, next we have an article that appeared in Athletic Business online, athleticbusiness.com. I get their daily newsletter, and so Andy Berg published this article on May 26th of this year. The title is Paramedic Dies While Weightlifting Alone at Fitness Club. And the subhead is, the dangers of weightlifting alone were brought into stark focus this week when a paramedic in Missouri tragically died after she was pinned beneath weight equipment. Article goes on to state, the dangers of weightlifting alone were brought into stark focus this week when a paramedic in Missouri tragically died after she was pinned beneath weight equipment. A club fitness member in St. Charles called police after finding 23-year-old Dolores Dolo Boschert, a paramedic with Christian Northeast Emergency Medical Services, pinned beneath weight equipment at 2:50 a.m. on Tuesday. Boschert was pronounced dead at the scene. We believe she either lost her balance or a muscle gave out and she fell forward, and the weights she was using pinned her to the floor, St. Charles Police Captain Ray Floyd told the local NBC affiliate. We believe she probably died from asphyxiation. She was all by herself. There was no one else in the gym. It took about 20 minutes before the next person came in the gym. There are no signs of foul play. Pardon me. We get the end of this. We conducted a thorough investigation, and we are confident it was an unfortunate accident. Boschert graduated from St. Louis Fire Academy in 2021 and worked as a paramedic for Christian Hospital Emergency Medical Services since November 2020, according to Chief Brian Hokamp. She was one of those people who had positive energy when she walked into a room. You knew she was there because she could make anybody, no matter what mood they were in. She wanted to take care of the community. Club Fitness emailed the following statement to NBC Wednesday morning. In the early morning hours of May 24th, the club fitness community suffered the loss of a member at our St. Charles 5th Street location. Our deepest and most sincere condolences go out to the family and friends of the member. As an organization dedicated to improving lives through fitness, we strive to ensure the health and safety of our members and assure a positive experience at every club fitness facility. We're continuing to work with local authorities to investigate this incident. Right, next article. Another athletic business article, athleticbusiness.com by Andy Bird, and this was on May 25th this year. The article is titled, Woman Shot Dead While Working Out at Fitness Center. Now, subhead goes on to state, according to a statement from the Pensacola Police Department, Kenan Nicholas Farrow was identified as the suspect. He fled the scene and was wanted on charges of first-degree premeditated murder. The article goes on to state, a Pensacola, Florida woman was shot and killed Tuesday while working out at her local gym. According to the Pensacola New Journal, Carla Elaine Williams, age 48, was working out at Pensacola Fitness when she was shot several times and died of her injuries. According to a statement from the Pensacola Police Department, Kenan Nicholas Farrow was identified as the suspect. He fled the scene and was wanted on charges of first-degree premeditated murder. Farrow was eventually located and arrested near the intersection of 9 Mile Road and Beulah Road, according to a Pensacola Police Department news release. A traffic stop was made by members of the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force, Pensacola Police Department, Escambia County Sheriff's Office, and the Florida Highway Patrol. No one was injured in the arrest. Regular Pensacola fitness visitor Carr Calhoun said he had just arrived for his regular workout when he saw the police tape. It's just bad for the whole community, Calhoun said, adding he still plans on being a customer to the gym. It freaks me out seeing this. All right, in the final article, I want to highlight some litigation update that appeared in club industry, and this was May 26th of this year, and it's attributed to the club industry staff. The title is, Illinois Health Clubs Could Be Liable If AED Not Used. And this article goes on to state, Illinois health clubs could be liable if staff does not use an automated external defibrillator, AED, when needed, according to a May 19th filing by the Illinois Supreme Court. The case before the court was Dawkins versus Fitness International LLC, 2022 IL 127561. That's case number. The plaintiff alleges that a woman who had a heart attack in November 2012 at an LA Fitness in Oswego, Illinois, was left brain dead when an AED was not used on her. The plaintiff alleged that not using the AED on the woman was, quote, willful and wanton misconduct, unquote, by LA Fitness. The court held 6-0 in favor of the plaintiff, ruling that LA Fitness must face claims because two state laws, the Physical Fitness Facility Medical Emergency Preparedness Act and the Automated External Defibrillator Act, require gyms to not only have AEDs on hand and staff trained to use them, but to also use them when necessary. State laws on AED requirements at health clubs can be accessed here. And there's a clickable link. So those are the articles that I wanted to highlight for today. Again, there's just no possible way to prepare for the plethora of incidences, issues, problems, adversity, challenges, all of that can happen inside a facility. Just want to make you aware of some challenges that facilities have faced, and just to encourage you. Do you have a plan? If something like any of these were to happen in your facility, what's your plan of action? Do you have a plan of action? Particularly around this case in Illinois, you can see the litigation has gone on for a very long time. And so just think things through. I started to slot this episode last Friday, but what I didn't want to do was have anyone spend the Labor Day weekend just kind of thinking hard about anything that could potentially go wrong in a facility. Just try to have a plan. Think about the different things, particularly some of the major issues, like this AED situation that could occur. And just ask yourself, where do we stand? Do we have a plan? This is something we need to do. Do we need to tighten up our policies and procedures? You know the answer to that. You know where you stand. And so let me just challenge you to think things through here for the next few weeks and devise, some plans of action. So you'll be prepared in these unfortunate circumstances and can act, with, when at all humanly possible. So folks, that is all I have for you today. Keep on keeping on. Adversity comes to all of us. As you can see, facilities, it's inside studios, larger facilities, corporate chains, franchises. I try to give a nice representation of in terms of what happens or what can potentially happen, some things that have happened within different sectors within the industry. All right, so private gyms, corporate gyms, franchises, just different locations. Sometimes it can be community type gyms. No facility is immune to something going wrong. And one thing we always have to remember is that fitness facilities like this, in these particular cases, but just in general, are public places. So when you think about that, and that's why, particularly when you see these domestic situations that occur and have occurred, they're public places. And so that's, it can be easier for individuals to access those facilities as compared to, for example, a military base or something of a fitness facility on a military base, for example, where there's more steps that have to be taken to access the facility and enter the facility. And they can quickly figure out who you are, and it's just a whole different situation. But regardless of where the unfortunate incidents occur, it is always sad, it is always unfortunate, and so it is always, our thoughts and prayers are certainly with all of the families and anyone that is impacted by scenarios like this, as well as the facilities and the leadership in facilities themselves. It's not an easy situation for anyone in these type of situations, folks. So just do your best, have a plan. So that is all I have. So stay tuned until next week. But until then, remember, I am positively passionate about your fitness, success, and leadership. Make it real.